Hello? Okay. I turned it off.
Turns itself on.
I've had a great weekend, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Met lots of.
I saw 7 Wonder Women.
What? 4 calling birds, 3 perchance.
What was your favorite costume that you saw this weekend?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. She's a classic.
There's a guy walking around. This is awful of me, but I'm just doing it. There's a guy walking around with a Spider-Man costume on.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm thinking, straighten up. You're Spider-Man. But no.
He wasn't in character. He hadn't had his coffee yet.
Never mind.
He was. All right, well, let's go straight. We have a question here. Go ahead and ask your question.
Good morning.
Morning.
That's not a question.
Well, I'll start off by a statement bridging to a question. I've been a karaoke fan for 15 years, and one of my favorite songs to sing is Daydream Believer. I wouldn't say I'm good, but I'm maybe very good. The crowd always seems to like it. But going back to 1995, the Brady Bunch movie, which had Davy Jones kind of doing one of his songs, and it bridged into like a grunge rock band. I'm thinking, have you ever thought about any of your songs like Daydream Believer? If it could be merged with something that's maybe trendy today or maybe an artist today, who would that artist be?
Well, I don't listen to any contemporary music, frankly. So I don't think I could even come up with a Billie Holiday.
Have you heard the mashup between I'm a Believer and I think it's Ticket to Ride, isn't it? No. Yeah.
It is Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, the Ticket to Ride and I'm a Believer. I'm a Believer. She's a ticket to the Beatles song. It's on the video. It's on YouTube. I bet you. That was a lot of fun. It's a great.
An artist like Jared Kushner.
Yeah, I can see Justin Bieber doing it.
Good question. Thank you, sir.
And another one. Somebody's waiting to ask a question. Ask us a question. See if we can.
Hi. My question is for Micky. I'm here with my kids, and I'm sorry, Peter. I'm here with my kids, and they are, we love your book, Jackie 2 Feet.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm also a children's author myself. And so I was just wondering what inspired you to decide to give writing a children's book a go?
Why I wrote a children's book, or specifically about Jackie 2 Feet?
Both.
Yeah, okay. Well, when I wrote it, there was a sort of a flush of celebrities doing children's books, and I was asked by a publishing company if I would like to write one, and I said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I just woke up in the middle of the night. I studied anthropology in college.
I didn't even know you could say anthropology.
And it's 5 syllables, buddy. And I'm a big science fan, and of all the sciences, but anthropology is one of my favorite disciplines. And I just woke up with this idea because I think I've been reading an article on when humans became bipedal, or bipedal, depending on which continent you're on. And I just woke up one night and came up with the story based on actual anthropological evidence and history. And I knocked it out like in a couple hours, the first draft, and they liked it. And there you go. They edited it, and they had an artist do the drawings, and there it is.
I was working on something. I was working on a rose, and it was the closest to bipedal that I could come. See what I did there?
Thank you very much for coming.
That's not a question.
On Monkees television show, it seems like they had you doing a lot of physical activity. You're riding unicycles, playing harmonica, swinging from ropes. Did anyone ever get hurt? And
Wow, good question.
No, I didn't
Remember anybody?
No. There used to be 5 of us, but other than that.
Yeah,
No, nobody.
the guy on the rope, but
I would imagine there wasn't very much wire work back then.
well,
Not on the TV show, no, we did the movie, Ed. We were wired to fly in the movie. That's what you mean, right?
no, we weren't on the TV show. There was one instance. It was the Monkey Man thing, I think.
Oh, that's right,
Show
that's
off.
right, yeah. Yeah, the 3 monkey men could take off.
They usually, if there was anything that was risky at all, they would have a stuntman step in like they do in all movies and TV
Yeah,
shows.
and all the professional things.
I know in Head, for instance, there was a couple of instances when we had stuntmen. They had to, you just couldn't take a chance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the little one wants to know, who the heck are you guys?
I listened to my mom's record when I was 8 years old, about a zillion times. You're the first band I ever loved, and I was 8. And I wrote you a fan letter, not sure if you ever got it.
Oh. Absolutely, didn't you get my answer?
If you have a question.
No, he's not mine. What's the question?
What's your favorite song ever?
Favorite song ever?
Monkey song?
No? Oh, Monkey song. Monkees. What's your favorite song ever, Mickey?
Of the Monkees
No,
material?
ever.
Ever? I couldn't narrow it down to one. I maybe a top 10. Yeah, it's good. One of the songs I love singing the best as a Monkey song on stage is Pleasant Valley Sunday by Carole King and Jerry Goffin.
Yeah, my favorite piece of Monkey. Okay.
You can say something. It's okay. Excellent.
My favorite, I want to say this because for me the best piece of music that ever came out under the Monkees name was Ryushiu. For so many reasons. A cappella, sung all together, sung in front of cameras, which was never done, because in those days, studio time was worth, $150 an hour, and soundstage, where you made television, that was worth like $3,500 an hour. So to do a song live to camera was a rare exception, and mostly because the blend. When I listen to that song, I usually cannot tell who's singing what, except for Mickey doing the singing solo in between. But the choruses, the 4 of us are singing, you can't tell who the blend. The first time and only time that we've ever 4 voices like that blended together as well. And that just takes me away. I've heard professional choir singers, the king singers kind of thing, doing it. And I like ours better.
Hello.
Hello.
You guys were my favorite band when I was a kid. You were my favorite first concert that I ever went to.
Have we failed you in the meantime?
The first concert that I ever went to was in the 70s when Mickey and Davey and Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart did a tour. So I have 2 questions. Number 1 is, what's it like to do the different iterations of the band with the different members at different times throughout the years, and what's it like to play without Davey?
Different iterations. Well, every time we set up a tour, we're doing the tour, we know who's with us, and we rehearse, and we say, well, so-and-so isn't here, so we're going to need somebody to sing this part, and so one of us changes, or maybe we give it to one of the background singers in the band. So basically, no matter what combination we are, we're working almost we start with what we know from the records, and then we work outward from there and fill in the gaps. If there's things Davey is, so you asked also what it's like working without Davey, and that is, well, you know, Davey was in so many ways the heart of the band that we. It's hard, a little bit hard put to include him as a matter of heart. Here we have Davey put him up on the screen. Do a song or two where he sang and we had his vocal and we play live to him, to his vocal, and like that kind of thing. So it's a tricky balancing act because, you know, we miss him and we don't want to pretend like he's not with us, although he isn't, but we also don't want to pretend he is because he isn't, you know. So it's a balancing act. We do our best. And but it's just, in some ways it's like the same thing with the tour. Every time we build a tour based on what we've got, and we see what we've got, and we work with what we've got, and then you come to the show and we take your money.
Speaking of that,
Money?
yes. Can I have some? No. So last time we talked about your Good Times album and how all of that came about and how you had found some unreleased recordings where you actually got to sing with him again because there were tracks. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about that? Because that's amazing to me.
Yeah, we have a new album out, last year, called Good Times. And it started with conversations about what we were going to do for the 50th anniversary. And simultaneously, we found some unfinished tracks from the 60s. Songs written by Neil Diamond, Carole King, Harry Nilsson. And there was one, and these were not demos, these were multi-tracks, so obviously they'd intended to release them someday, but the show went off the air, we stopped making records, and they have remained in the vaults for 50 years. And we found them, and there was one particular track, a song called Good Times, written by Harry, that I was eventually intended to sing. He's on the track playing piano and singing. Mike Nesmith's on guitar. I think there's a couple of other musicians in the background. And I became very good friends with Harry Nilsson over the years, and I thought, wow, what an opportunity to sing a duet with my old friend Harry Nilsson. And everybody loved the idea, and I suggested the album should be called Good Times and make that the title track. Everybody liked that idea, I guess. And that sort of launched the project. And then it was a question, well, what do we do? We have 6 tunes or so, something like that. Well, what do we do to fill the rest of the album? And the record company reached out to a producer named Adam Schlesinger from Fountains of Wayne, who had done a record called That Thing You Do, a song.
A movie of the same name.
That Thing You Do for the Tom Hanks movie. In fact, I bumped into Tom Hanks one night at did I drop that name? And he said, I made a movie about you guys. I said, yeah, I know, where's my check? And anyway, Adam was the perfect choice, frankly, I think.
Yeah, if you've ever heard the song, That Thing You Do, it is a miraculous song in the way that it's absolutely out of the 60s and it's absolutely modern. It's a tremendous achievement, I always thought.
And Adam went on to reach out, and the record company did, just put the word out, anybody want to write a song for this? And all of a sudden, we were inundated with material from these incredible writers like Ben Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie, and Rivers Cuomo and Alan Partridge.
Did you know that Rivers Cuomo graduated from the same high school I did?
You graduated from high school? And Noel Gallagher, Paul Weller. I mean, anyway, all of a sudden we got all this incredible material of this same kind of genre, this 60s jangly, well, I guess what they call jangly guitar pop or something.
12-string guitar, lots of 12-string on the album.
Yes. And that's how it happened. And we got lucky, you know. The universe was kind to us, and the forces, you know, were there, and lightning struck got lightning in a bottle again, and we had top 20 album out in, just like, it was a wonderful, pleasant surprise. I was thinking about it. The equivalent would have been in 1966 when the Monkees show went on the air and the first album hit the charts. The equivalent would have been an act having a top 20 album from 1916 during World War I. Have Eddie Cantor or would have been Enrico Caruso or somebody having a top 20 album, 50 years later. And I feel blessed. I feel blessed that we got lucky, and a lot of hard work too. And everybody contributed, Mike, Peter, and I, and
even Davey.
Writers, and Davey. There's a vocal on there that he had done in the 60s, a song written by Neil Diamond that just never got released. So anyway, I feel blessed to have been part of it.
As do I. Hit it, monkey girl.
Hi. I've just been a fan for a long time, because my mom showed me your TV shows and I just fell in love with them. So I was just gonna ask, what sorts of things are you guys up to nowadays?
Signing autographs. What are we up to now? Signing autographs, taking pictures, trying to be pleasant.
There aren't any active current Monkee plans.
Not between us. Mickey's working.
I do solo shows, and
I'm working on an album actually for Shoe Sway Blues, my blues band. We're doing a tribute to Leadbelly, of whom you may not have heard, but who was this huge figure in my youth as a folk singer. Wrote and brought us dozens of wonderful songs, and we're hoping to do that justice. That'll be out this year, so keep your eyes open and your pocketbook open.
I'm doing solo shows. Like I say, there's no active Monkee plans, but I've learned never to say never. You never know. We're still riding on the crest of the wave on good times, frankly, and the record company is doing the same. But you never know, just watch the skies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm doing solo shows.
And by the way, Mickey's doing solo shows.
Did I say that I'm doing solo shows? Check out my website, Micky Dolenz solo shows.
Don't check my website.
I've been a friend of you guys since I was a little girl. My dad used to play a song that I requested all the time, was Gonna Buy Me a Dog. And next March is my wedding, he actually is trying to pull me that to be our father-daughter dance.
I'm sorry, say again.
The Gonna Buy Me a Dog.
Yeah, I got that part.
Our father-daughter dance. That's our wedding for our wedding.
I don't see how you can dance to that song.
Would you know any in your repertoire of a song that's softer and sweeter for a father-daughter dance?
Softer and sweeter than Gonna Buy Me a Dog? How about I'm Not Your Stepping Stone? There aren't too many that aren't sweeter than Gonna Buy Me a Dog. I don't know, actually the thing about Gonna Buy Me a Dog is you want to hire a stand-up comedian just to do jokes. A girl tried to call me up and woke me from my sleep. You should have heard the thing she said. She hurt my feelings deep. We're going to buy me a dog. Why? Because John already has a raccoon. That kind of stuff. Can I have a glass of water? Why? Are you thirsty? No, I want to see if my neck leaks. That's what Buy Me a Dog was all about. You don't remember
really
the
stupid.
Yeah.
The story behind that, which I think everybody probably has already heard, they actually wanted us to sing it straight, David and I, and actually sing it legit. Girl, that was not something, and and we looked at each other and went, we cannot sing this. This is just too creepy. I'm serious, and we just said, we can't, to Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. There's no way. I'm a 22-year-old man. I cannot sing this weird, creepy song about a little girl and her dog. And so Davey and I just started goofing on it. And to their credit, the producers, Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart, and the writers, and the record company, and everybody, they said, let's go with it, let's run with it. And it's become a little bit of a classic, I suppose. Never done it on stage because
I have.
it was. Have you?
I have.
We just, because it was totally improvised. I mean, it was totally just Davey and I in the studio, probably 4 sheets to the wind, just, you know, making fun of it and goofing on the whole thing. And I love it. I mean, I listen to it occasionally. When I hear it, it's like really funny. But you can't really duplicate that. I've never felt that we could, you know, sort of duplicate
I was in
that.
Africa playing cards with the natives.
Oh, did you lose?
No, I usually won. You guys laughing, that means you haven't heard the record. It's too long. Go listen to the record. The jokes should be stale by now.
Hi, Mickey and Peter. You did a Christmas episode with Butch Patrick. How was that experience?
It's fine.
Can you repeat it one more time?
How was the Christmas episode?
You did the
with Butch
Christmas
Patrick?
episode of the Monkees with Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster. How was
Butch
that
was here.
experience?
Butch was here yesterday. I understand. I was supposed to go see him. I didn't get a chance. If he's here today, I'll go say hi. Yeah, Butch has been a lot of fun ever since. In fact, I did a show at a place called Tuts in Chicago, and Butch was on the bill with us. Butch was doing a kind of just a stand-up, showbiz comedy bit, and I was with my band, my then band, Peter Tork Project, wild bunch of crazy rock and roll punk guys and me. Kind of a strange combination, but I'm not your worked out Not Your Stepping Stone really well. And there it was on the bill too. It was a lot of fun. So, it was just at the day, every time somebody comes on as a guest actor, we go, hi, how do you do? And you do the lines as best you can, and then you go home. And that's all there is to it. So that's what it was like with Butch. For me.
Thank you.
Morning.
That's not a question.
I was curious, through the years, if you guys ever had a chance, since you're in St. Louis, welcome to St. Louis, by the way, have you ever had a chance to tour with Chuck Berry? He's being buried today here in St. Louis. And I was just wanting to know if you've ever...
Not me. I bumped into him a couple times. I think the tour buses passing in the night. I remember once doing some show somewhere, and somebody said Chuck Berry just finished or something like that. No, I would love to have hung out with him, but unless you live in the same place and you're on the same tour, it sometimes is unlikely. But I do have a claim to fame with Chuck Berry in that, as many of you may already know, my audition piece for the Monkees was Johnny Be Good. And that got me the gig. And I do it in my solo show, and I tell the story of it being because I was a huge fan, Chuck Berry fan, and all of that genre of music. That was my roots, was Little Richard and Fats Domino, Jerry Lee Lewis, Nat King Cole, and good old rock and roll. And my audition piece was Johnny Be Good.
Neat.
I actually was on a bill with him with one of my solo bands, and we in those days Chuck was a little bit bitter, just a little bit bitter, and we did our show, no sign of Chuck. He's due on in about 3 minutes. He drives up in his station wagon, pulls out his guitar, and goes up on stage. In his contract, he insists that the promoter provided him with a backup band. And he loved to rag on his band. Whoever it was, they weren't good enough. And he would play, near, near, and you were supposed to know it was Maybelline. He played, and that was another song. And you were supposed to know these things. Well, this day, on this particular day, this little gang of white kids knew all of that. And you should have seen his face light up.
Oh.
He said, who said the white folks can't play the blues? He was practically doing hallelujahs all over the stage.
Thanks, Tori.
Yeah.
What about Elvis Presley? Have you guys ever met Elvis?
Stuff him.
No, I never did.
No.
I saw him in Vegas, towards the end there, in that Las Vegas run. He did acknowledge me in the audience.
Nice.
Yeah, I was sitting there at the Sands Hotel or wherever it was, and
He's a funny
he acknowledged
guy.
me, but I never met him.
He's a funny guy. That's a funny guy. That's the thing about him. I wish that people had known better how funny he and weird and offbeat, really offbeat sense of humor. He was. Steve Martin said that he met Elvis, and Elvis said to him, "Son, you got an oblique sense of humor." I got one too. Anyway, so I wish I got a chance to hang with him on that account.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to St. Louis.
Good to be here. Is that a weapon in your hand? You're just happy to see me.
Hi, guys. My camera. I've been a fan of yours since I was 12. I took my first money I ever earned at 12 years old and bought a Monkees album.
So that's how come we're so rich.
My question is today with the fandom and things like that, what are your guys' view as far as a comparison of the fandom that you're having now with the new album of Good Times comparatively so to back then in the 60s?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do my best. It's much better now. Much. For me. Because, for two really good reasons. One is that the intensity of the fandom in the early days was much stronger. It was everybody's the first, I mean, like you guys said, your first thing. But these were, I can't get into enough detail to make it really clear. But the other half of this thing is I didn't know anything about what was going on. And there is no school for fame. Because those of us who got into the fame game did it. I don't know about whether you agree with this, Mickey, but my take is that we got into the fame game because, I'll tell you for myself, if I could get the millions to love me, it wouldn't matter that I felt like kind of out of place at home. So and incidentally, it doesn't work. Getting the millions to look at, you paying attention out there? Oh. And now, it's much more congenial. It's like, we're in this together. You guys come and listen to us. We like to talk to you. And even though there's a certain, there's this barrier, this table here, still it feels much more like my community, my gang to me than the other. I didn't know what you crazy suckers were doing. I did not know. You were, why are you doing that? I'm just trying to play a little music. I went to hear the Beatles show. We were together, we'd started, but we hadn't hit the public airwaves yet. We went to go see a Beatles show, and I could not understand it. These kids were screaming their faces off, and I'm going, shut up, this is the greatest rock and roll band of all time, and you guys aren't listening. So that was a little tougher than this. I'm telling you. That was tougher than this. This is nice.
Mickey, no?
Sorry?
Nothing?
Oh,
I'll set it off, yeah.
I grew up in the business, so, and I never had any desire for fame. I just sort of followed in my father's footsteps, and my mother, but more my father, I guess, because he was quite successful as an actor. I just was following in their footsteps. Eventually, after high school, I had a TV show as a kid. But again, I never had the desire for fame or fortune in show business. I never had a craving to be on stage and have people, yelling and shouting and clapping. I literally was just following in my father's footsteps. And after high school, when I decided to get a real job, I thought about time I grew up and got a real life, I was going to be an architect. And then I was in school studying to be an architect when the Monkee audition came along. And I wasn't stupid. I mean, I knew that you could make money and you could, but I was going to be an architect, and if I couldn't make it as an architect, I was going to fall back on show business. Serious. I figured, you know, I could make a living doing day jobs and little guest shots here, and I was doing some, it was like a summer job. When I wasn't in school, I was doing guest shots on old shows like Mr. Novak and Peyton Place and things like that. But I was going to be an architect. And then the Monkee pilot came along. And I wasn't stupid. I was auditioning for pilots that year. And I got it. But I didn't even quit school when I got the pilot, because I knew that pilots most of the time don't sell. Only 1 out of 10 will sell. I was up for 3 or 4 pilots that year, music-oriented shows actually. So it was in the air. I do remember that I thought this Monkee thing is kind of cute and different. It was different from the other music pilots shows that I had been up for. I got the pilot, but I didn't even quit school. I just took a week off to do the pilot. We shot down in San Diego, and I went back to school. And I don't know how long later, weeks or months, I guess, my agent called and said they sold the show. And then I quit school, because I obviously couldn't do both at the same time. Started, doing the series.
After the pilot, I went back to Connecticut where my folks lived. And I was hanging out there at my folks' house. And Friday I said, I haven't heard anything. I wonder what's up. And I called somebody. They said, you didn't leave a number. We didn't know where to find you. The show is sold. Come out here. I went, okay. My father handed me a shot of Doers or something. Congratulatory Doers. So,
thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
You mentioned seeing the Beatles, but was it in '67 you guys actually outsold the Beatles?
I've heard that.
Outsold the Beatles in '67 and the Rolling Stones, like combined, right?
I always thought it was just because they both were between albums, and we were outselling at that moment.
Okay.
Because, didn't I hear this correctly? Headquarters spent 1 week in the #1 slot, subsequently followed by a record-breaking run of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, something like that.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question, so perfect.
There's one more person.
There you go.
Now that's you, sir.
I really actually don't have a question. I just
Well, the heck with you then.
Where's the hook? No, I just want to tell you guys, I've been enjoying your music all my life. I enjoy your solo work. I enjoy your stage work, your comedy, everything about you guys has always been top.
Yes, we're great.
I was so excited when I saw the Good Times was coming out. It did not disappoint. I loved it as much as the rest. So I really just wanted to say thank you for 50 years of entertaining me and for all the good times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect way to end. That's pretty great.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much.